This journey of Cho healing or Cho journey, or journey of the Cho practice has two enemies, only two enemies. Can you guess what those two guys or two girls are? What are in a way of unveiling who and what we are? The premise of Chu is that we are whole already. Like we're taking the result as a path, as a tantric practice. In that sense, what are the dust? What are the blocking? What's the dust which is covering the gold? That is who you already are. Anybody? We need to know those things. So
Ego and self.
ego and self. What's wrong with egos? Everybody has egos.
Um,
Poor thing.
well, in my case, it's going to question and doubt and block
So
everything.
ego is kind of source of all these branches, cousins and niece and all this whatever. Whole 9 yard coming from that maybe. Ego itself is innocent though. Ego doesn't exist. You can say it's like, in a sense, it's not a fact. But our grasping, I think ego exists. There's something within us or something out there, something solid and eternally existing. And then we cling on to that. And maybe that might be one source of suffering, you can say. Yeah, so that's the kind of root of suffering. Magic talks about the root, cut the root, not the branches. Although if we have so many branches, we need to trim the branches as well while we are trying to cut the root. It's so difficult to cut the root. If it was easy, we have done that a long time ago. But now we are on the journey, so we do both. Sometimes we trim all the branches, look at our own shadow or demons, these branches of difficulty, challenges, look deeply into that. At the same time, root of that, from where those difficulties and sufferings are coming from. So that might be one way to say it. In Tibetan, called danzing, or English self-grasping. So that's one. What else? Of course, other enemies related to this dancing, self-grasping, but what's the issue?
Is it ignorance?
Yeah, ignorance. Yeah, it's a translation, but it's not knowing. Yeah, not knowing reality as it is. But that's also related to self-grasping. So that's we all have. We are born with. At the same time, we acquire acquired ignorance and inherent ignorance. We are quite a bit of dust there covered. We born with this sunglasses called ignorance. That's we want to overcome by seeing through the true nature of reality, self and reality. So that's called emptiness, empty nature of things. And another side is this so-called chenjing. It's called self-cherishing. It's nothing wrong with cherishing oneself. I'm taking care of oneself. You showed up here because of you care about your happiness and your health and whatever, right? Nothing wrong with that. But this changing is a specific self-cherishing, cherishing oneself over others. Ring a bell? That's also we want to cut through this practice, job practice. You can say the purpose of job practice is to look deeply into the reality and the nature of self, nature of mind, so that we can cut through this dancing, self-grasping. At the same time, we want to cut through this habitual tendency, habitual attitude. I am more important than others. My happiness is more important, need to be attended, taken care of. than others. So we do that by really looking through the reality, but at the same time, we're doing this active offering of our own body, which we cherish the most, right? Everybody, I want you to have this attitude of openness with this faith, complete confidence in one's own true nature, which is whole.